After a valiant but unsuccessful trip to Slugger Field against the back-to-back champs in Louisville City FC, Ryan Martin and Loudoun United return home to Audi Field here in our nation's capital in search of their first win at home as they take on the fire-powered Indy 11, led by Martin Rennie. Tonight's pregame presented by National Conference Center. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro, Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us on this Saturday night in our nation's capital. And Devin, when you take a look at Loudoun United, they were on a bit of a road trip there. They got 3 points out of 6. Meanwhile, on the other side for Indy 11, unbeaten in their last 6 games, firing on all cylinders. The most recent affair, a 3-0 win against Memphis.
One of their best offensive performances recently, at least. At least when you take a look at those last 6 matches, what they've been able to do defensively is really where they've been great. Only giving up 1 goal. And take a look at the opponents. They've done it against the likes of the Tampa Bay Rowdies, North Carolina FC, Nashville, and of course, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are a stout defensive squad. That's the only game that they gave up a goal in. But keep an eye out. Watch out for Loudoun in their back line. Young. And when you look at what they've done on the road this year, 6 matches, 4 times they've scored 3 or more goals. They've done it all on the road.
And we already talked a little bit about Loudoun's performance against Louisville. They weren't able to get the job done. However, they still are finding different ways to give very good teams issues. They're still looking for their first win at home, which I think could be a big launching platform for Ryan Martin's group.
Gives you an idea of the test of characters from these young men, though. 2 guys on the back line in their teenage years. Going forward, you've got 3 more that are teenagers as well. So with a lot of rotating pieces, but still some veterans around them, they find the ways to get it done and do it on the road. And you take a look now, they can be giant killers. Their best performance of the year so far, that 0-0 draw on the road at Al Lang Stadium, and of course the 3-1 win. Now the 3-1 win, yes, it's against Red Bull too, but what they were able to do defensively against the Rowdies was beyond impressive. They played a 3-back tonight. The lineup card right now says 3 for Loudoun United. Be interesting to see how things play out for Ryan Martin's boys.
Ryan Martin, since taking over for Richie Williams, has gone to 1-1, a win and a loss against the back-to-back champs in Louisville City FC. Meanwhile, Indy 11 looking to gain ground on the East Best. It's all coming your way for our nation's capital. Loudoun United and Indy 11 when we come back. Almost set for kickoff here in Washington, D.C. as Ryan Martin's group in Loudoun United set to go against Martin Rennie's Indy 11. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us on this Saturday night where we will have more than 13 matches available for you in the USL Championship. We'll take a look at the starting 11 for both Ryan Martin as well as Martin Rennie. And beginning with the home side in Loudoun United, we're going to get a youngster in goal in Colin Miller, and then a lot of other youngsters littered all over the field, Devin.
Colin Miller replacing the injured Callie Brown, came in last week, and now an opportunity to get his first start in the season. The back line very young. We talked about that. Nelson Martinez only 17. Alexis Saravia on that right back position, only 18. So a lot of firepower up top for Indy 11 to go at these youngsters. 5 in the middle, 2 up top. Kyle Murphy, Orlando Sinclair, really like the relationship that they've created over the past few weeks. They'll continue to push that. When you take a look at the visitors in Indy 11, Martin and Rennie, we talked about the 6-game unbeaten streak. And a lot of discussion is about their inability to close things out in the final third. Not concerned, because you got 3 against Memphis on the road, and we talked about how good they've been, but more importantly, they're creating a massive amount of chances. A lot of work coming out of Kenny Walker and Tyler Pasher, midfield and outside on the left, and of course, Indy Voltson, Jo-Hyun Kim has come along nicely recently, and the great Dane Kelly up top looks to continue his ways. Been a bit slow so far in 2019, but still a great talent.
For Loudoun United, if they are to get 3 points tonight, and obviously barring some other results from around the Eastern Conference, they can catapult themselves into, at the very least, 10th place. And inside that cutoff line. Meanwhile, for Indy 11, they could potentially be in 2nd place, barring results around the USL Championships Eastern Conference, as it looks like we are just about ready to go here from Audi Field. Thomas Snyder, our head referee. Dane Kelly standing over the ball at midfield.
Sorry, it's not usually like.
There we go. And we're officially underway from Washington, D.C. and at Audi Field. Indy 11 and Loudoun United, 3 points up for grabs. Loudoun United looking for their 2nd win in the Ryan Martin era. Meanwhile, Indy 11 looking to make it 7 unbeaten. And they've beaten some very good teams along the way. 3-0-2 in their last 5. A 3-0 win at Memphis, 2-1 against Pittsburgh, 0-0 against Nashville, a 1-0 decision against the Charleston Battery, and along the way, Tyler Pasher has been in terrific form. 3 goals in the last 4 league games, and of course, Indy 11 falling to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the U.S. Open Cup as Dane Kelly thought about the long distance effort, and now will gain control for Indy. Kenny Walker, bothered from behind by Orlando Sinclair. And Patty Barrett will go all the way back for Jordan Farr, who's getting his first start in the USL Championship. Has 3 appearances on the year, 2 of them coming in the Open Cup as well as coming on as a substitute against Memphis. United looking for the early home run ball. Seconds available. Sinclair pushes it out wide. And a good challenge over on the far side of Audi. And we'll have our first corner of the night, and it's in favor of the home side.
Should be a fun matchup on that far side right now. Griffin Yao, teenager, local boy, homegrown this year, going against the likes of Maka King and Patty Barrett.
Antonio Bustamante on top of the corner. 21-year-old from Fairfax whips in a good ball. Patty Barrett is the first to it. Ball down by Gibson. Just lashed across the middle of the field. And Connor Presley able to pick it up in a dangerous area. There's the captain, Kyle Murphy. Just a teasing ball in. Sinclair on it now. Poked away at the last moment. And now Indy 11 will look to break out on the other end. Dane Kelly brings it down. And it was intended to go back for the Dane. That's Ina Voltson, not Dane Kelly.
Orlando Sinclair has to do better in this situation as this ball gets knocked back across from Kyle Murphy. There was a shout. Drew Loudoun trailing just behind, said leave it. Unfortunately, stood the ball up, allowed Indy 11 to track back behind, get a challenge in.
Kyle Murphy still might be able to get there. It's a mistake from Patty Barrett. And has it poked away. And already a good open tempo to this one in the opening 3 minutes or so. You rarely see that, the referee holding off the throw-in to tell the player who's throwing it in to move a little bit further up the field, as Griffin Yao with a clean touch back. Sinclair just trying to bulldoze his way through. Osman. Tyler Pasher with some good work, but the pass well out of the reach of Do-Hyun Kim. Here comes Loudoun again. Decent turn upfield, but Ouimet is there to clean it up. Bustamante out wide for Presley. Bustamante around Kenny Walker. A little bit of daylight in front of him. Bustamante trying to slide it through for Murphy. Now it's Presley again. And he's able to knock it off of Pasher, and the second corner of the night coming up for Loudoun United.
Notice the step through by Bustamante, recognizing the immediate push. Unfortunately, that window closed quite rapidly, and that's the defensive progress we've seen from Indy 11 recently. As you get a look at Tyler Pasher going to ground, it's their ability to close down those spaces so quickly.
Bustamante again on the corner, outswinger, available header, but it's a bit too aggressive from Kyle Murphy, and it's coming out the other way.
Even though we've given some praise to the defensive unit of Indy 11, we do have to recognize that Evan Newton, out with the groin injury, came out last game. That's why Jordan Farr getting his opportunity to get his first championship start. Neville Hackshaw on international duty with Trinidad and Tobago. And how about Crognale back with the Columbus Crew? So 3 guys that have been very integral to this team. Now, Crognale's been gone for a little time now, as we saw him in the US Open Cup game midweek. However, Hackshaw and Newton, obviously anchors of this defensive unit. With them not there, big focal leaders as well. Keep an eye.
Kim pushes it out wide for Maka King. It's not a bad ball in, but handled easily by Colin Miller. Good sliding challenge from Gibson, and a number of Loudoun United fans who are lined up along the far touchline aren't exactly happy with the call. Mitch Osman gets it caught beneath his feet and has to go all the way back. Exactly sure if Kenny Walker was trying to find Dane Kelly or that run being made in behind. Either way, Loudoun United will claim it.
Open up, Nelly. Open up, Nelly.
Speaking with Ryan Martin about the result against Louisville City. Said it's no wonder why Louisville are back-to-back champs, and probably one of the more difficult places to go and get a result, not only just in the Eastern Conference, but in the USL Championship, as you get a good look at Ryan Martin, who took over for Richie Williams. Got an opportunity with Bruce Arena over with the New England Revolution in Major League Soccer, as Zina Voltson trying to go back for Dane Kelly. Here's Kelly, and it's on the wrong side of the post. It was a fortuitous bounce and then some for Kelly. Unable to capitalize, though.
Nice movement up top here from Indy 11. Just well done, hold up play. Here's a little touch that comes back across, and then comes off the backside of Dane Kelly as well. So 2 in the span of about 3 passes coming through, going in the direction of Indy 11, just couldn't finish things off.
It's a good first touch.
Shouldn't we all be so blessed?
Pressure from Indy 11, they turn Loudoun United over in a precarious area. Kim over for Kelly, back for Ina Voltson on the turn, and a terrific save. Colin Miller getting down and making the play. Ina Voltson was hoping for a call.
Ref, I said foul, ref! That's the other way, it's a white foul, man! Just hold the red to net! Ref!
It's quite interesting. Watch the tail end of this, by the way, because this looks like it gets knocked back to Colin Miller. Right on the doorstep, goalkeeper does a good job spin. Unfortunately, Ina Voltson can't get this wide out on the post, and he touches it back. regardless if you play it or not, you've touched the ball in the direction of your goalkeeper. Doesn't matter if there's intent or not. You can't pick it up.
I thought that's the whole point of the rule, is that
it's not a deflection.
If it's
a deflection, it's one thing. This ball, he takes
it's a clean touch.
It's a clean touch. If it came off of him, it's different. If he takes a touch to go towards possession, the goalkeeper cannot pick the ball up. Every single one on the Indy front line immediately raised their hands. And how about the back line, though? Stravia on the back post. He raises his hand here and tries to pick it up, asking for the offside call. And there's a better look at the follow-through on Loudoun. Tackle Tyler Gibson just getting stuck in as Loudoun tried to go the other direction.
And here's a look at the injury report presented by Ortho Virginia. Clean bill of health for Loudoun United. Ilya Illich and Eugene Starakov still nursing injuries for Martin Reddy in Indy 11. As Loudoun a little slow to get to his feet.
Nice to hear from Martin, though, that they're progressing quite nicely. They've gotten out of surgery. Things are going well. Maybe a couple weeks coming back in that direction. Didn't want to be too specific as they have started training. And remember, Josh Penn, the youngster who's committed to Indiana, has been so good in that outside midfielder position and up top, is not available. They had previously agreed that he would go back to his DA squad, Sockers FC, for the Academy tournament. That's exactly where he's employing his duties right now.
King looking for some sort of option. Now Ina Voltsen's making the run. Appears to be offside. Assistant referee right there, though, keeps his flag down. Early delivery, takes a deflection. Ina Voltsen brings it down. Now it's Gibson. Pushes out wide for Pasher. Now Kim. Standing one up at the back post, but nobody there for Indy 11. King a little late arriving to the party and has it taken away. Kyle Murphy able to win the ball. Loudoun, nice little cut in. Here's a terrific effort. Andrew Loudoun with a stunner of an opener for Loudoun United.
For all the offensive escapades that are Indy 11, Andrew Loudoun says, yeah, how about this? Put this on a tee and just shove it in that top corner. Very well done by Andrew Loudoun, a guy who did very well for Bob Lilly back in 2018 and has taken on much more of offensive responsibility for this Loudoun United squad. A team that has so many youngsters. When you get guys like Andrew Loudoun in that veteran showcase, loves to step up and show them exactly how it's done.
Well, you can bet your bottom dollar that that's going to be on USL Championship Goal of the Week nominee. 1-0 to Loudoun United against one of the best in the Eastern Conference in Indy 11. And it's a moment of individual brilliance from the 27-year-old from Erie, Pennsylvania. Good challenge from Kenny Walker. Voltsen trying to help it along. Fully played by Nelson Martinez, the 17-year-old from Woodbridge, Virginia.
Yes, Orlando, go, Connor, go!
Voltsen gets a touch, hoping for Dane Kelly. We talked with Ryan Martin about all of the youth employed in his side and what sort of separates those in the academy who are able to make that step to the professional level and those who sometimes fizzle out, and the answer was simple, it's mentality. And guys like Griffin Yao who have really ran with the opportunity that's been given to them. And Griffin Yao in an interview basically just said, I didn't want to wait to get those minutes till I was 18, 19, 20 years old coming out of the academy. I wanted minutes now at the professional level. And he certainly made the most of his opportunities given to him, made an impression with Richie Williams when he was the head coach. And Ryan Martin seems to be extremely high on the youngster. And then you throw in the likes of Andrew Loudoun, the likes of Kyle Murphy. These older guys who aren't exactly veterans around the rest of the league, but to a side like Loudoun United, it makes all the difference in training sessions.
You have to remember as well that with Ryan Martin stepping in, a lot of people will immediately go, okay, new head coach, how's that gonna rotate? Remember, director of the academy, so he has a lot of experience with this team in general. In fact, he was one of the three, including Richie Williams and Ben Olsen, that put this roster together in the offseason. Had a lot to say of what was going to go onto the pitch. And then a lot of these kids he's seen already. And you talked about Griffin Yao, you look at Antonio Bustamante, Nelson Martinez, Saravia, that's just to name a few who came through this academy system, homegrown players who he's seen from the ages of 13, 14, 15, already making an impact. And he was very passionate about that. He went all the way back to his Wake Forest days, talking about guys that came through that program, now making an opportunity at the MLS level with or without DC United. So had a lot of opportunity in his young coaching tenure to nurture a lot of talent.
Good ball across and a very, very late challenge, but it needed to be, as Dane Kelly was right on the doorstep. Tyler Passer making things happen down on the left wing, and a corner kick coming up for the visitors.
That's what he's been doing so well recently. Just look, quick little touch to the byline, comes across. Dane Kelly trying to crash the party on the near post.
Saravia with that challenge to deny the opener for Indy 11, which would have been a very quick equalizer. Do-hyun Kim. Punched away by Miller. Patty Barrett. Run was never really being made by Macca King, and Loudoun United will say thank you very much. And this is a big test for Loudoun. Obviously, played the back-to-back champs in Louisville City FC in their last game, 2-1 loss on the road, but at home against an Indy 11 side that's unbeaten in their last 6. Indy 11 only 2 losses on the season. Those coming against Tampa Bay as well as St. Louis FC. The St. Louis loss, first game of the campaign. Good step from Ouimet, but rolls out of play.
Remember with Loudoun, they're in a similar situation that Hartford Athletic was, where they didn't have their stadium ready. Loudoun United stadium not going to be ready until August 9th. So they played a lot of games on the road, and that's some of that progression you see with this squad. Youngsters having the ability to step up, play with the big boys. And they've shown you they can get it done. Consistency struggling a little bit. However, the glimpses are there. You've seen it early on, opening 15 minutes. They don't mind getting stuck in. Obviously, Loudoun, Kyle Murphy veterans.
Here is Loudoun on the right wing. Easy enough for Patty Barrett. And it's right into the path of Kim. Poked away by Nelson Martinez, who's got the difficult task of trying to run with Dane Kelly. Kenny Walker. It's perfect switch for Macca King, who lays it off. Now Thomasina Voltson. Clipped in for Kelly and called off by Colin Miller. And opener at Loudoun United Stadium will be against the Charlotte Independents, who of course are now back under the tutelage of Mike Jeffries after Jim McGinnis got sacked earlier this week. And last that we heard, it was Andrew Gutman who got the opener for Charlotte, but now it is level. 1-1 with Birmingham Legion FC. And it will be a free kick in favor of Indy 11 and a rather senseless challenge from Pibo Doué. How about this score? Atlanta United 2-0, Pittsburgh 3, 17th minute.
The typo?
No.
Scored 3 goals in 5 games.
Hey, Antonio!
Memphis 901 FC and Ottawa Fury 0-0 at halftime.
Antonio 19! Antonio 19!
So a makeshift corner now for Indy 11. Kim on top of it. Keeps it low, hoping for Ina Voltson. It skips through. Now it's Patty Barrett on the turn. And the first option for Ina Voltson was the good one, and it was an open one, but the Dane just couldn't quite connect.
You can see him motioning back to the side of the ball. Bouncing a little bit. Not happy with the direction it was going, so he left it. It's the trailing run and effort. Still just over the bar. And we'll go back to the lineup here for Loudoun United. It was quite interesting because brought it up to Ryan Martin, said, you know, in that performance versus Tampa Bay Rowdies when Richie Williams was still at the helm, I picked his brain a little bit, and I said, you know, I thought you guys were good because of A, B, and C. More specifically in the 3-back system. Richie said, you know, if we had the right personnel on a regular basis, I think that's where we're at our best. I asked Ryan about that. He said, you know, I'm a proponent for the 4-back system. That's how I want to play. That's how I want these guys going forward, and it mimics what we're trying to do with DC United as well. Okay, makes perfect sense. Lineup cards turned in tonight in a 3-5-2. Opening 3 minutes, they actually show a 3-back system, and then immediately they pull Connor Presley into that right-back position. So some uncharted territory for Presley, but still a boatload of talent for this Loudoun United squad.
Maka King goes out wide for Ina Voltson. Now the foul is going to be called back, and that is very good refereeing from Thomas Snyder as he allowed the play to develop. Realized there was not an advantage for Indy 11 as the ball got pushed out wide. Ina Voltson couldn't get there, and a dangerous set piece now for the visitors.
Struggles on that far side. Doué stepping out a little bit again, and space to be had after the ball played in. Still a foul. And this is such a tumultuous situation where when you're playing well and you're up 1-0, you can't gift opportunities like this. Twice in the span of 5 minutes, we've seen unnecessary fouls down in this final third, giving them short corner opportunity, a strike from distance. Regardless, you can't keep handing these over to Indy 11.
Ina Voltson more than dangerous on set pieces, as is the veteran from South Korea, Do-hyun Kim.
Griff, 19, Griff, 19, Griff, 19, in the wall.
Thomas Ina Voltson straight into the wall. And Orlando Sinclair able to get there, but a good challenge from Ina Voltson, wins it right back. Numbers still available. And it's off the head of Doué. He was looking to pick out Kenny Walker, who's more than capable of that sort of strike. And a corner kick coming up for Indy 11 yet again.
Good shout from the manager on the touchline as well, asking Griffin Yao to keep an eye on the trailing runner of Kenny Walker standing in the wall. Thought he might peel off, and then when the ball gets recycled back around, maintain that partnership on the defensive side so he doesn't get one of those opportunities.
Kim, good delivery. Miller strong off of his line. Can Loudoun United break out on the other end while Indy 11 have committed numbers forward. Here's the teenager Griffin Yao. Working on Gibson. Yao towards the byline. Tries to peel it back. The save made by Jordan Farr. And Indy 11 clear their lines. And now it's Dane Kelly on the other end. Back and forth we go here at Audi. And Nelson Martinez able to clean it up. I take it.
Go.
Step from Nelson Martinez. And the first touch from Dane Kelly gets away from him, but still had ground to close off. Good job from the 17-year-old academy player. And then on the other end, you get an idea of why everybody is so high and mighty on Griffin Yao. And you see his exploits from distance, but also that one-on-one technical ability in tight spaces. Doesn't matter who he's going up against. Just lacking a bit of finesse on the end of it. This ball's got to be cut back to Orlando Sinclair. Instead, tries to go near post on Jordan Farr.
Griffin Yao, the second youngest player to sign a homegrown contract. Excuse me, the youngest player to sign a homegrown, the second youngest player to sign with DC United in general. The youngest player to ever sign with DC? Freddie Adu. I think homegrown contracts existed back then.
I can tell you from first-hand knowledge they didn't.
They did not.
They did not.
They did not. So he made his MLS debut in a loss to NYCFC back on April 21st. Came on as a sub for Paul Arriola. Here's Yao again. And it poked away just at the last moment from Kenny Walker. Fearless in the attacking third.
He truly doesn't care. I mean, no regard for who he's facing against, and that's the no fear that you need. And just going through, continuously pushing these guys. Patty Barrett, Tyler Gibson, Kenny Walker, hands full right now.
Scoop over the top intended for Presley, and Pasher will just muscle it out of play.
They're struggling in the middle right now, Indy is just a bit, and the reason you're seeing that is Andrew Loudoun, that big left foot of his coming over from the right, he's condensing and allowing Connor Presley to play that high line. Griffin Yao doing the same thing coming in because they want Due to counteract that on the left-hand side. So they're overloading the middle of the field, and there's not enough communication between Kenny Walker and Tyler Gibson, struggling to pass guys off with the back three. All to do you solidify that up is you just have one drop off. Either Kenny Walker or Gibson just need to sit a bit deeper and go a diamond at times to help these guys out on the back four.
Dan Kelly trying to get to the outside, but a good sliding challenge on the other end from Alexan Saravia, 18-year-old from El Salvador.
Top of the box!
Young
Top
Kim.
of the box!
Another good delivery. Pops back out for King, who takes it on the first time. Wasn't all that far off. And if you take the combined ages of Saravia and Nelson Martinez, they still don't come out on top of Do Hyun Kim, 36 years of age.
Didn't realize you could do math that high.
Listen, there's a lot of things you don't know about me.
Learning it.
Yep.
Loving it.
One game at a time. Shove in the back from Patty Barrett. Andrew Loudoun right now with the game winner. And boy, was it a peach of a goal. Here's Bustamante showing great skill. Big reach from Osman. And again, Osman able to make the play. He was all over the place on that sequence. 24-year-old from Sydney, Australia. He's making his fourth appearance for Indy 11. Martinez told to go negative. Jordan Farr clears it away. Went to Corbin University, 44 clean sheets in his time playing collegiate ball, second all time in the NAIA. Collision between Martinez and Carl Ouimet.
Gets him right in the head on the trailing boot right there as it comes up. Ouimet just reaching to that backside on his hamstring. I don't want to speculate exactly what it is, but you can see there's not a lot of contact on the challenge.
Why are we waiting? You're just waving your hand. I don't know what that means.
Impressive work by the back four of Loudoun United so far. Nelson Martinez, Saravia. A massive amount of movement up there. Steve Olsen, Do-Hyun Kim, and Dane Kelly. Seeing what Kim's capable of from dead ball situations. Truly is integral in this movement going forward. The nickname Asian ball skulls. It's too good. Get an idea so far of what they're talking about, though.
It's high praise.
It's, anytime you make that kind of analogy, you better have something to back it up.
He's played in some mighty big games in his career, Do-Hyun Kim, as Thomasine Voltson just lays one out for Dane Kelly to be able to run onto. Here's Kelly, and a terrific save yet again from Colin Miller. 22-year-old has had a couple of those tonight already. Here's Due on the other end. Griffin Yao running with him. Yao gets taken down, and Thomas Snyder will bring that one back.
Back and forth we go. Really thought Kelly was going to go vertical here. Try and go up over the top of Colin Miller. Colin Miller coming up stout multiple times so far. One of the Friars that was part of that 2016 run. The Elite Eight for soccer, and unfortunately couldn't close things off.
Peebo Due asking questions in the back line. Patty Barrett gets a touch to it. Now it's Thomasine Voltson. Voltson getting away from Pilato. Dane Kelly. Good ball to the far side for Kenny Walker. You can hear Martin Rennie, who's not too happy with his veteran midfielder Kenny Walker. Patty Barrett goes to ground and somehow keeps it in play, but look at Griffin Yao win it back for Loudoun United.
Noah, you're hiding Noah. You're hiding Noah.
Loudoun United riding the energy of this terrific crowd here on Audi Field on a Saturday night. Andrew Loudoun strike. The 12th minute simply electrified the entire capital. Noah Pilato, who scored his first professional goal in a convincing performance against the Charlotte Independents. Here's Griffin Yao again, and Thomas Snyder is going to call it the other way. Kyle Murphy is going to be called for the foul. King trying to get to the outside. Griffin Yao giving him all sorts of problems, and now he gets called for the foul. Olsen switches the point of attack. Macca King back for Walker. Former FC Cincinnati man. I think his goal last year against Ottawa probably should have won goal of the year. That was my favorite.
Side volley from 60 yards out, 70 yards out. It's pretty impressive.
Juan Cousin won it?
Is that one goal of the year?
Free kick, yeah.
He won over
that
Walker
and Jason Johnson's scissor kick, yep. Kids, it just goes to show. Go out and vote.
Didn't think I'd be able to get into a political conversation with you, but I respect that move. That's very well
I usually
played.
try to stay away from politics and religion on a broadcast, but I simply couldn't help myself. Dane Kelly. Cause for concern yet for Indy 11 on the road?
Absolutely. You can see the middle of the field is really struggling. There's no depth whatsoever. And when you look at the possession, as you can see right now, it's the first time that you're really seeing separation between Kenny Walker and Tyler Gibson. You just have to find a way to not be so linear.
Pasher standing one up, good ball. Walker waiting for it. Still Kenny Walker, but a heavy second and third touch, and it just rolls over the byline.
When one drops off, you then start to pull out the rest of the middle of the field for Loudoun United. So someone has to step with him. So if Tyler sits, Kenny can step up a little bit. So you've already given yourself an extra depth of dimension to go forward and back, and you can play around. But that also allows someone else from Indy 11 to occupy that space. So Tyler Pasha and Macca King can now step in a little bit. You can rotate Dane Kelly out to that far side, which you're starting to see more of. They're starting to push him just onto that far touchline, get it out in front of him. When Kenny comes up and you can see it again, they're starting to figure it out. It helps you break down the lines of Loudoun United, because with Noah Pilato and Bustamante sitting, it's quite difficult. If you're both flat and they're flat, where are you to go? You have to find a way to step out and give yourself an added dimension.
And that will be brought back. It is a foul, again against Indy 11. Frustration continues for Martin Rennie's side in the first half here at Audi Field. And Devin, I think even besides the tactics, I think that a number of 50-50s are starting to slant in favor of Ryan Martin's group.
There's a bit of an energy that's lacking as well. You can see United just fired up a bit more. They're going in with a bit more intensity, going forward. That desire is there, and you necessarily haven't seen that from Indy 11. A lot of stagnant movement, and just kind of slow to get into things. And whether it was the step by Carl Wimet on this near line, had a good opportunity to get there, couldn't do it. Credit to Nelson Martinez. And just that first step isn't as crisp as we've seen over the past 6 games.
Open up, Nelly. Open up, Nelly. Deeper.
There's also some excellent direction coming from Ryan Martin on the sideline. He's really helping these guys out because they are missing some assignments, but he's letting them know immediately so they can get back at it.
Kenny Walker in for Ina Voltson, a little bit of room. Now it's Kelly. Dane Kelly lets it loose, and that is way off. And it's not like the front three for Indy 11 are playing poorly, but it's as soon as they get into the penalty area, all the wheels are coming off.
The other thing is, as well, is I don't want to say it's an area you want to be critical of because they've been good at it, but 16 of their 18 goals are from inside the box. And there's a lot of turns right now where they can look up and have a go, and they're not doing it, to your point, just to look right now. Dane Kelly looks up, takes a touch, a second touch, and then he hits it. When you spin and turn, why not have a go immediately? Otherwise, you let the back line step back a little bit more, and you let the goalkeeper set his positioning. There's no reason. Have a go first time and really challenge him.
Well, one of the 2 goals that they have scored from outside of the 18, that Kenny Walker goal against Pittsburgh, was sensational.
And remember, Jordan Farr, as well as Colin Miller, first starts. I mean, these are guys that have both come in recently as replacements for injured goalkeepers. All the more reason to be battering the 8x8.
Colin Miller has definitely made a couple of very good saves tonight.
Gotta go! Gotta go!
Jordan Farr really couldn't get near the shot from Loudoun as that takes a deflection off of Mitch Hausman. That could have gone anywhere. Jordan Farr was already scrambled off of his line, and a corner kick coming up for Loudoun United.
Just trying to pick out Kyle Murphy here, and almost ends up in the back of the net off the deflection. There's the one-on-one ability by Yao again. As he comes in, that's almost got him too. Well done by Murphy. Just continuously keep that back line honest. It's a good look at the picture, an area that they're not necessarily going to have a boatload of advantages. That height, loads of talent on the vertical side of things for Indy 11, not necessarily so for Loudoun United and the youngsters.
So you're calling them vertically challenged.
That's what I call myself as well. You know what it's like every single time you're in a grocery store asking to get stuff from the top shelf?
You're 6'4", settle down. Here's Bustamante.
6'4" and 5/8. And the license says 6'5", just so you know.
My license says 6 feet, but I'm 5'11" and 3/4, so. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Tony, I got your back.
Kyle Murphy, broken up by Osmond again. Murphy writhing around in pain after the fact. And that'll bring the athletic trainer out. That'll give us an opportunity to take another look.
Yeah, 39, Albert.
Just get stepped on, right? On the follow through. As Mitch Osmond comes across. Oh, Murphy feeling it though.
Yep.
My apologies earlier to Colin Miller. Immediately as I said it, I was questioning myself. That was 2014 on the run for the Providence Friars. So
how old were you?
old enough.
38.
Easy. 38.
Not 38.
Oh, there's a good look. Well done for Kyle Murphy to see him up and moving again.
Pinballs around a little bit, and Macca King able to clear it away. And that wasn't sure where it was. Loudoun back out onto the scene. Presley brings it down coolly. Into the channel. Loudoun giving chase. Ouimet has to take the safe way out. Now 5 minutes remaining until halftime, plus stoppage time, of course. 1-0 to Loudoun United. Andrew Loudoun with the opening goal for Ryan Martin's group. Loudoun now clips one in, edge of the area. Do-Hyun Kim rolling the dice at the edge of his own penalty area. Able to win it back. It's taken down from behind, and that should most definitely be a foul against Pivo Due, and it will be. Kim again. Flip from behind. Another foul against Loudoun United.
It was a conversation he was just having as he's doing again now with Gibson and Walker. Do-Hyun Kim just dropping in a bit more. That's that direction they needed to head, as we mentioned, just lacking the ability to break the lines of Loudoun United going forward. To gain some momentum just before halftime, have a conversation in the dressing room and figure out what they need to do to get back in this game.
Kelly puts in the challenge, able to win it back for Indy 11. It's in a dangerous area. Visitors looking for an equalizer right before the halftime whistle. Sinclair
Go! Push!
pushes that wide for Presley, being encouraged on by his head coach Ryan Martin. Good step from Pasher.
Good. 2v1, go! Push!
Numerical advantage for Loudoun United on the far side. Griffin Yao, 1v1 with Macca King. Gets it away again. Cleared away by Tyler Gibson. And Griffin Yao just continues to find ways to put his teammates in some advantageous positions. Sometimes can be so difficult to throw a ball back into play. Presley with a good step. Loudoun back for Presley. And Ouimet gets a piece of the delivery.
not getting flustered at all, are they? Talked about Yao just a second ago, and good job by him cutting back in, going to either his right or his left. It actually started from Connor Presley, and when he couldn't push forward, good tackle in. They recycled it back to the other side.
Lofted in. Run by Osmond. Came Kelly. Couldn't quite get around Loudoun. Plenty of contact. And a good call from Thomas Snyder. And another set piece for Loudoun United.
Really have to give the referee credit tonight and his ability to keep a grasp on this game. Good job here, Loudoun working back, and there's the foul by Kelly on the backside. Andrew just continue his runs forward. Mitch Osmond frustrated, thought maybe the call came his direction. That's not the case. It was just before he was allowing him to play advantage. A good chance just before halftime, maybe back a second.
Griffin Yao on the set piece. Keeps it low. Naka King is first to it. There's 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half.
Freaking heck, man!
Loudoun United were claiming that the ball was moving while Indy 11 hit it to restart. Big switch on the other end. Ina Voltson back for Kim. The South Korean looking dangerous, and Colin Miller makes another save.
Comes off a deflection as well. Jo Hyun Kim just occupying that space at the top of the 18. Great ball across from Tyler Pasher to spring Indy Voltson going forward.
Good step from Carl Ouimet. Here comes the big man out of the back, finding Ina Voltson. Miller off of his line. Ina Voltson has to pull it back across, and Miller able to hang on to it after he retreated pretty nicely. And it was that first touch from Ina Voltson that didn't quite set him up to be able to get that cross away in the way he would have liked to.
Beautiful step out from Ouimet, though. Very well done on the initial challenge, then just continue the progression of the field.
Pilato draws the foul after stumbling, somehow kept himself between on-rushing Gibson and the ball. And that's going to do it for the first half here from Washington, D.C. A big round of applause for this young and eager Loudoun United group, looking for their first ever home win, and they're halfway home. Andrew Loudoun right now with the game winner in the opening 20 minutes, and boy, was it a stunner. A left-footed bomb from about 25 yards out. We're at the big intermission here at Audi Field, 1-0 to the home side. Halftime here in Washington, D.C. as the substitutes are out and pinging it about. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-Sherman pro Devin Kerr. Ryan Martin's group with a 1-0 lead over Martin Rennie's Indy 11, who looked a bit lackluster in the first half. They definitely created some chances, but were not able to polish them off. And we'll take a look at both of these sides in review this season so far on this June 15th, Devin Kerr. And really for Indy 11, you're in a good position to gain some ground on the best team in the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, for Loudoun United, as we talked about already, they had a number of games away from home at the beginning of this season. They were waiting to get the availability for Audi Field, still waiting for Loudoun United Stadium to be built. However, given the way that the Eastern Conference has unfolded, especially towards the bottom of the table, still well in a position to make a push for the playoffs.
You start with Indy 11. Look at the defensive side of things. Only giving up 8 goals through 12 games, and you just expect that goals number on their side to be a bit higher. Mid-20s, even a bit higher than that with everything that you brought in. And again, Starkov and Illich being out with injury, Martin Rennie high on those guys coming back and thinks he'll make an immediate impact and give them a bit more depth as well, because he can't rotate a lot of pieces right now. And then for Loudoun United, what they've been able to do, we talked about the results and how they're kind of sparring, but there is a bigger picture for them as well. Talking to Ryan and Martin about that, it's not necessarily the next game and their ability to beat Indy 11, it's progressing their talent, give them more experience, because they've got DC United in their relationship with them, so they want to keep pumping numbers through this system.
Well, still halftime here at Audi Field, and Andrew Loudoun's goal was still a stunner, and I'm sure will be on USL Championship Goal of the Week nominee for week number 14. We will step aside yet again and check in with the USL Championship.
Coming to you from USL headquarters, this is Steal Some Time. Here's the USL's Kelsey Steele.
Let's hop into the West. Out of week 14, the West was interesting this week. I want to start over in San Antonio and talk about this academy impact that's going on right now for Gallegos. If you have not watched that goal, you need to go back into the highlights and watch that, because this is a 17-year-old kid who created that entire play. He made that run. He demanded to get the ball back. Barmy hit him up, and he, made that one touch around the defender, finished it off, and it was gorgeous. A 17-year-old looking like a 25-year-old. And
put the team on his back.
Put the team on his back. How about Phoenix's commitment to Dollar Beer Night?
Undefeated.
If you thought that we were going to go through the show today without mentioning Dollar Beer Night, you are severely mistaken.
Absolutely, and for good reason. I mean, holy cow, not only is Dollar Beer Night absolutely a thing, but the goals. The goals on goals on goals, and Adam John, I will stand by this opinion. I will die on this hill. That should have been SportsCenter #1 out of the weekend. 60-yard ball over the top. Not even a touch. He just lofts it over the goalkeeper. I saw that and watched SportsCenter, and I was like, where is it? Okay, it's not number 3, it's not number 2, it's not number 1. I was about to just start tweet storming at SportsCenter on Twitter and just let them know, y'all got that wrong, man.
But elsewhere in USL Championship play, we had a few streaks end this weekend. Talking about over New Mexico and, unfortunately, Tampa Bay Rowdies. Their notable streak comes to an end.
I think if I'm the Rowdies, I have to see this at least as somewhat of a win. So follow me a little bit here.
Okay.
Brown to find Lacroix. Now it's Musa. Oh, what a hit! Ryan Brown. Oh, that is electric from Phoenix on the break. Shot. What a fixture that will be in a Tuesday night edition of Wednesday Night Soccer, if you're still following there. Phoenix and Reno 1868 FC. Devin will be on the call with that game with Michael Watts, and we will take a look at what's going on in our USL Championship. News and notes: New Mexico United, St. Louis FC moving on to the round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup. St. Louis will take on old friends FC Cincinnati. New Mexico United, meanwhile, will get a crack at FC Dallas over in the Lone Star State. That game will actually be at Southern Methodist University, so not exactly a home game from FC Dallas. Meanwhile, Colorado Springs Switchbacks signing a couple Air Force Academy youngsters, and Colorado Switchback gotten a couple of wins in a row. They're looking to make it 3 in a row this weekend. Meanwhile, Jerome Kiesewetter, Player of the Month, and when you were looking at his statistics and the way that El Paso performed, probably the right choice.
100%. everything that he's brought to the table. Talking with Mark Lowry, saying, you know, what is this run like? He's just needs some confidence. That's all it takes sometimes for the guys, the number 9. And they haven't lost, by the way, since that 2-0 loss when Phoenix Rising came to town. So they've been streaking, doing quite nicely. You get a look at the East and what's going on. Steele and Scott Stewart were just talking about Tampa Bay Rowdies. They dropped their first home loss and first loss in general to NCFC. Bethlehem Steel, explain to me how they were still sitting in that 10 spot. Amazing.
Nobody else wants it below the cutoff line. Nobody wants it. Meanwhile, you have St. Louis FC sitting in 9th place at the moment. That can't be sitting well, no pun intended, with Anthony Pulis and Ottawa Fury starting to make some progress as well, as we are cruising right along through the halftime show. Hope you're enjoying a beverage or some food or perhaps both during the intermission here at Audi Field. Loudoun United with a 1-0 lead over Indy 11. When we come back, stats, highlights, and of course, kickoff in the second half. Almost ready to go here for the second half as Loudoun United FC clinging on to a 1-0 lead against a high-powered Indy 11 side, as Loudoun looking for their first ever home win, albeit in their temporary home here at Audi, as they wait for Loudoun United Stadium to be complete, which should be ready around early August for their match against the Charlotte Independents, who are up 4-1 at the moment against the Birmingham Legion. And we'll take a look at how the first half went down here in our nation's capital. Highlights from the first 45 minutes. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. Glad to have had you with us. And if you missed the first half, we'll help you out a little bit. In the opening moments, Indy 11 certainly had some chances, half chances, and they almost seemed like half chances because the finishing was just that abysmal.
That was the theme for the opening 45 minutes, what they could and could not do. Everything was getting in or around the 18, but just couldn't close things off. And some good interchange. I really liked when Kim started to drop off a bit. That was some of the added dimension they needed and had allowed Walker and Gibson to get going. Unfortunately, it took about 40 minutes for them to do so. And these are some of those half chances you see. You go the other way, though. Great hold-up play by Kyle Murphy. Sees the trailing run on the outside midfielder from Loudoun, cuts it across on that left foot. Upper 90, thank you very much. That got them out in front. Great goal by Loudoun, and that's his ability to just cut in, challenge people, even though he's not on the left-hand side where he's so accustomed to being.
Loudoun just his second goal of the season, and it was a cracker, and you could see what it means for Loudoun United. And then Griffin Yao, the 16-year-old, would start to get involved in this game, and he just caused all sorts of problems.
Watch Sinclair on this ball here, though. This has got to come back. You have to square this off and hit the trailing runner. I get the idea of going against the goalkeeper, but when you've done all the work and you've pulled everybody out of position, just pull it back. Sinclair can tuck that home. You go up 2-0, because then you get opportunities like this, and they have to tighten it up. Transitional play for Indy is where they are at their best. Unfortunately, the front three couldn't finish things off, but they are creating chances. And that goes back to the theme that we talked about in the Open. Martin Rennie's not overly concerned because in that 6-game run, 3-0-3, they created a massive amount of opportunities. Weren't short of any tonight, just haven't been able to close things out.
Thomasine Voltson certainly did not look himself. Dane Kelly, as you saw, missed a breakaway that he rarely misses in his long and illustrious career of scoring goals at this level. And here's a look at how the numbers shook out after the first 45 minutes. Loudoun United have a slight edge in possession. They're starting to find the target. Meanwhile, Indy 11 on the other side, as far as efficiency is concerned, and you and I talked about this before we came on air, Devin, they're creating a boatload of chances, and in the games where they're either drawing or they're not getting a result, which has only happened twice this year, it's just a matter of one of those ones where they can't find the target. And again, as we talked about, two keepers who are making their first starts in league play.
Challenge them. Go after these guys. Why not? And credit to Colin Miller. He had a great opening first half. Loved what he was able to do, and that's not an easy thing. Again, only collegiate experience. And then he had the minutes in the last game where he came on for Callie Brown, and what could he do with his opportunity? He stepped up to the plate. But with Indy 11, it's some poor decision-making as well, because you've seen those times where Dane Kelly gets the ball, he feeds it in, great turn, then takes a second touch, then takes a third touch. It's unnecessary. Also progressing into the final third. When he is in one-on-one, there was the one on the far post. Could have just chipped it over Miller. Instead, he goes low. So you have to challenge the back line of the center back as well as the goalkeeper. You're going 2v1. Very difficult to beat him.
Well, Loudoun United, as we mentioned before, and we'll continue to mention again until it becomes the reality, looking for their first home win. If they are to get their first home win in their inaugural season, Devin, what needs to happen in the second half?
Well, they have to continue doing what they were doing on the back line. You could start to see some things breaking down for Indy 11 in a positive fashion where they were connecting the dots a bit better. They weren't great, mind you. It was about a 5-minute spell. But that was the central midfielders where Bustamante, Pilato, and Sinclair are going to have their hands full. And what Sinclair's going to have to do is track back a bit more to clog things up. When you start to expand things, that's the triangular play that is Indy 11 where they are so good. That allows them to go in transition, but more importantly, maintain some of that possession that we didn't see in the first 45 minutes. So they're going to have to sit a bit in certain areas and be a bit more patient. Love what the back line has done, but the midfield is going to have to pick it up.
And meanwhile, on the other side for Indy 11, as Thomasine Voltson and this Martin Rennie-led side looking to get an equalizer. And for Thomasine Voltson, that should happen on the 15th of June because he scored on every 15th of the month.
Part of that victory against Charlotte Independence. You and I were on the call for that one on the road, that Monday night game for the Swope Park Rangers. That was a fun one to watch. They were really impressive that night. And then as you just continued on, you go, really? With that stat? That's kind of weird. But another opportunity to go 3 in a row here for Indy Voltson. Unfortunately struggling, down 1-0, but he had a couple in the first half.
No goal on the month of May 15th, though.
Correct.
Because they didn't have a game on May 15th.
Very good job.
Okay.
Love the deductive reasoning.
I'm just picking
it's
it
a
out.
numbers game.
It is a numbers game, and it's a numbers game that Thomasine Voltson is winning at the moment. I mean, in danger of breaking probably the greatest run in the USL Championship besides Dollar Beer Night at the moment.
Fair enough. Love when our producer came to us and brought that to our attention. And he said, look at this that I picked out for you. I think it's a great stat. And I was like, yeah, it's one of those, Derek Jeter bats 700 on me every other Tuesday in the month of May.
Any chance that Indy Voltson is aware of this?
None. Whatsoever.
Zero.
No one cares about that stuff.
What if he's one of those guys, though, that keeps his diary of goals? And then he looks at it, he's like, oh, wow, I've scored on every 15th of the month.
I got to tell you, with Indy Voltson, I'm pretty sure with his character, he doesn't keep a diary. It's a logbook.
It's a log.
Yeah,
video log.
Yeah. Or a video diary.
Yeah.
That's even better. There you go.
Officially underway here in the second half, and Audi Field, Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr, 3 points up for grabs. And right now in the hands of Ryan Martin and Loudoun United would be the second win in the Ryan Martin era. And it'll be their first ever home win. As Griffin Yao will go over and take the opening corner of the second half. And Loudoun pick up right where they left off in the first. Yao just clips one in. Ends up skipping all the way through, and Mitch Osmond puts it into space for Dane Kelly. Andrew Loudoun trying to muscle him off the ball, and the Jamaican showing good strength and ends up winning the foul. Breaking up with Pasher, much better from Indy 11. Pasher showing that pace and a good sliding challenge, however. At the back from Nelson Martinez. Now a corner on the other end for Indy 11.
Come on.
Lovely build-up, and they show you that crisp one-touch passing 5 in a row consecutively, getting them going forward to spring Tyler Pasher on the left-hand side. He's one they got to get more involved in the run of play, but on a really nice streak in his form. Offensively has been involved as well.
Kim. Miller gets a punch to it. Walker back in. Kelly brings it down. He was onside. Now Gibson back in. And that one will go over the byline.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Some
Keep
updates
going.
from around the Eastern Conference. North Carolina FC finish up 2-0 against Swope Park Rangers. Tampa Bay Rowdies
Well
and
done,
Charleston
Gibson.
Battery
Keep
finish
connecting.
1-1 from Al Lang as Tampa Bay go back-to-back weekends without 3 points. Charlotte Independence looking mighty fine in the first game back for Mike Jeffries as the head coach of the Jacks. Up 4-1 on Birmingham Legion, Ottawa Fury, and Memphis 901 FC. 0-0
Towards the middle, Graham.
as we're approaching the 80th minute over at TD Place, and Pittsburgh Riverhounds in full control still over Atlanta United 2, 3-0. And how about the Bethlehem Steel 2-0 up on Anthony Pulis's St. Louis FC? Maybe a bit of a hangover from the U.S. Open Cup as they were able to take down the Chicago Fire in the 4th round.
As they approach the 32nd minute, though, Ferris has been thrown out. Got a double yellow, so he scored 2
Second
minutes
time
later.
he's been thrown out of a game this year.
Immediately goes to the sideline, so a 10-man squad for Bethlehem Steel and Brendan Burke. See if they can manage that one out.
He just got the ball. He just got the ball. The guy swung through him. Fairly.
This is that rule you and I talked about. I agree with Brian Mart here. It's so frustrating because he does get all ball, but when you go and studs up, the rulebook says you can't. It's such a frustrating one. And it's laws of these games. Love to see that change.
Sure you would.
We can hear the shout from the 4th official. He's got to go in fairly, and that's fair.
Is it fair?
Yes.
But you're leaving yourself, I'm just playing devil's advocate, you know I agree with you.
Okay.
But you're leaving yourself exposed as the person who's not going in studs up. It's almost like bringing a knife to a gunfight in the sense that you're not going in fairly and you have to be concerned about your own well-being in addition to going into the challenge.
I promise you, what I can do to your ankle with my instep is the same that I can do with my studs. And I'm using myself as an example, but look, when you're carrying that amount of momentum, does it really matter if it's the bottom of your foot or your instep? And plenty of people are going to disagree with me, and I respect that opinion.
If you have longer studs on, it does.
Metal studs on soft ground is very different than molded cleats, and I get that. And you can't play it one way or the other based upon what footwear you have on. So I understand that. But it's the same thing. If it's a challenge, if I go in with my instep and foul you.
Poor giveaway from Miller. Here's Dane Kelly. Miller able to make atones for his sins. That was mighty dangerous from the young goalkeeper. And it's going to be offside, being called all the way back.
Took him a second to get in touch with his AR as this ball's played out. Good little push through, nice save. Well done by Colin Miller to bail himself out. And just going back to it, it's a foul if it's a foul. And that I mean in the sense of if you're getting stuck in and you overstep your boundaries, it's a foul. If you win the ball, does it truly matter what area of your body you win it with? Honestly.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
I don't think it does.
We can change the world.
I feel like you are just trying to sort of right the wrongs in your career, and all the times that you got sent off and got yellow cards, you would stay on the field and you might not be in the book as much. I feel it's almost like a personal vendetta for you at this point.
I 100% agree with you. But I guarantee you, especially with players, most players and coaches will side on this. They will agree with how you and I share this viewpoint. The gentleman in the yellow shirt, however, they think another way.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is that the rules are made by an organization that is separate from FIFA altogether that's called IFAB. And it's difficult for somebody who may have never played the game before to be instituting and being in charge of the lexicon and the verbiage within the rules. And that if you're on the field and you've played it before, then you know that putting in that challenge and winning the ball with the bottom of your foot or the inside of your foot is the same thing, and you shouldn't be called for a foul if you simply win the ball. Macca King in for Dane Kelly, back out wide for Thomasina Voltson. Indy 11 looking dangerous again. Here comes Patty Barrett. Ina Voltson will take it himself, and it's straight at Miller.
Well done, guys. Well done.
Ball in from Yao. Sinclair. Broken up beautifully by the South Korean and Kim. Now it's Walker. Diagonal for Dane Kelly. It's an inch perfect ball. Kelly on the first time. And it's about 15 rows too far.
Let's track back to the chance before Dane Kelly knocks us into the stands as he applauds his boys for the ball out in front of him. This ball that he holds up and plays at Indy Volson has to be out in front. You have to continue the momentum going forward because he then has to take a touch, which is behind him, collect his thoughts, and then figure out which direction he wants to go. If this ball's out in front of him, he can put it across one time and let the guys run onto it. Instead, Loudoun United get the track back and recompose themselves.
They come in the form of Nelson Martinez. He'll put the brakes on, and Loudoun United starting to sense that maybe they should take the air out of this game a little bit. Up 1-0 against a side that can strike ever so quickly. And they give it away yet again.
See it, here it comes.
Maka King. Seconds fall for Ina Volson. It's a little bit lackadaisical from Thomasina Volson.
Body up. Let's go.
King. Ina Volson. Back for the rookie. And King just pounds it off of Pipo Due. This just looks like a different Indy 11 side than what we saw in the first half.
Well done, guys.
Definitely finding a bit more space to work with, and you can see a lot of that coming out of distribution from the middle of the field, but still that quality in the final third just isn't there. It's that extra touch, the ball that isn't necessarily played out in space, having to come back across and then play it in. Just allowing Loudoun to get that second or third runner to get a challenge in.
Helped away by Martinez. Only as far as Pasher. Able to get around the first defender in Martinez, and a free kick for Indy 11. Thomas Snyder will walk it out. Put this on frame.
The way he's lining up, this is going to be chipped over, and maybe something out into this near touchline, but there was a load of space just a second ago. I understand it is very difficult to execute, but a little chip up over the top with Indy Volson playing off, but there's a good look. It's Indy Volson telling him down in the corner, just loft it in, where you put it up over, then bring it back across the middle, allow the guys to peel off, and then run onto the second ball.
Kim. The idea was there. And the space was there as well.
All right, keep going, keep going.
Dan Kelly lurking, Indy Volson, and that's all they have to do. You stand on the shoulder, allow the first one to be played, stay onside, and then progress forward.
Well done, Patty. Let's go.
Barrett switching the point of attack, able to find Tyler Pasher. Very positive first touch. Now it's Ina Volson trying to peel it back, and it's off the post. Cleared away by Pilato. Stepping up as we met. Dane Kelly trying to bring it down. Here's Walker, and Miller able to make the save. A tizzy of action right in front of the 22-year-old keeper, and somehow comes away unscathed yet again.
Colin Miller having to account for both the ball across as well as the strike. Indy Volson trying to play this back across. Takes a tiny deflection off the trailing run of the center back in the likes of Nelson Martinez when this comes through. And then Miller just able to stand his ground tall. Kenny Walker, second opportunity back across, right at the goalkeeper.
There's the vaunted face pass from Dane Kelly. Sinclair sliding it through, Murphy offside. Good save from Jordan Farr.
That ball boy's getting an extra pizza tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're playing, huh? How about another one? Have some fun with that.
Dane Kelly. Ina Voltson now, blocked in front, shouts for a handball. Now here's Kim, and it's well
Keep going,
wide.
buddy. Keep going. Well done.
And Devin, you thought that Dane Kelly probably should have pulled that on the first time.
Well done, guys.
Just talk about it. The decision making here, not the best by these guys. In and around the 18, really struggling to give themselves the best opportunity to finish things off. Dane Kelly with the ball out in front has a chance, as we talked about, to challenge Colin Miller. He doesn't. And he still gets a look on the trailing run from Indy Voltson, and then Kim gets a shot off as well. But the best look was the first one. Colin Miller just going down there after he knocks the restart out. Going to ground. Hope it's not shades of what we saw from Evan Newton last week in Indy 11. His groin after the goal kick.
Ball clipped in. Here's Dane Kelly, and that's a glaring miss from the Jamaican.
Well done, guys. Well done. Keep going.
He knows it as well. Frustrated with himself. Love a little check, though. He initially puts a little push on the back post. Keeps these youngsters guessing, then makes his run to the near post. Checks away, checks right back to it. Great ball in by Pasher. And unfortunately, Dane Kelly just off his mark tonight.
1 second, Kenny.
Assistant referee did not feel that the ball went out of play. Miller just clears it away. King. To find Ina Voltson.
Ryan Martin getting a front row seat. Exactly what frustrates so many coaches sometimes. Doesn't agree with the referee's decision here, though. He's explaining it all, and says, Patty Barrett, I've had enough of that.
I will say this, though. Thomas Snyder has reffed a beautiful game.
Very well.
Hasn't been a single card yet. I don't think anybody's deserved a card yet. He's played advantage to the T as far as the rule book is concerned.
Some of it is also, you don't want to call it an unnecessary whistle, but it can kill the game as well. So when he sees them starting to step out a little bit, either squad, he'll blow the game, have a conversation, settle things down, let the emotions subside, and then get back to it. And that's just game management. And it's very well done by the referee.
Time, Jordan! Hang on.
Patty Barrett did well to find Carl we met, but he puts Tyler Pasher in a bit of hot water. Good play from Connor Presley. Indy 11 want to go quickly. Kim just dumps it into the channel, asking Pasher to race after it. Pasher jousting with Nelson Martinez, but the 17-year-old standing his ground. And we're going to have our first substitute of the evening. And it's going to be Shinya Kadono coming on and replacing Griffin Yao. So an hour's worth of work for the 16-year-old. And Shinya Kadono, who also scored his first professional goal a number of weeks ago at the Charlotte Independence, will come onto the scene here in the 61st.
Good shift by Griffin Yao, especially in the first half. A lot of creation on that left-hand side. Not a lot to do here in the second, as defensively things had to be picked up. Indy 11 starting to grow into this game, create more and more opportunities on the offensive front. And that just changed a bit of the movement going forward by Loudoun. Yao not able to be involved as much going forward.
Kadono, 22 years old, from Kobe, Japan. Featured for the Orange County U23s, was a standout at Cal Berkeley for the Bears from 2015 to 2018. Kim turns out of trouble. Gibson gives it away. Pilato. Thibaut Doué. Bustamante now. Working on Kim. Good step from Mitch Osmond. Now it's Ina Voltson on the other end.
Up.
Volson taking the space given to him, trying to whip one in behind the back line. Good play from Nelson Martinez, but another corner coming up for Indy 11.
Bustamante has to be a bit more reserved in his actions here. I like the idea where he's trying to create, but not necessarily needed to go it on his own, so he plays the ball and also sit a bit. So you give the option coming back. If the initial pass doesn't work out, you can then go back outside, but also defensively, and that's the more important part here. He can track back and help out because you can see Indy creating so much on the transitional side of things.
And now Jack Jean Baptiste, the 19-year-old from San Pedro Sula, Honduras, on loan from the Honduran Giants and FC Motagua, will come on and replace Antonio Bustamante here in the 63rd. So just one substitute remains for Ryan Martin's group. Kim drives one towards the back post, and Colin Miller handles it cleanly.
Jack Jean Baptiste, a bit more of a true on out number 6 for Ryan Martin, can hold up play quite well, and that gives him that look we were just talking about on the defensive side.
Long ball over for Loudoun. Andrew Loudoun peels it back, first time effort, blocked in front by Mac and King, and now a corner on the other side for the home team. Presley, Jordan Farr was off of his line and made a mess of it, but his teammates picked him up. Now Dane Kelly on the other end. Long searching ball for Kim. Maka King gets a challenge from Shinya Kadono. He felt like he was fouled. Kim putting on the moves. Orlando Sinclair still trying to get there. Kim still with it. Walker. Osman in for Indy Volson. Now Walker, crisp movement from Indy 11. Kim. King, first time delivery. And an awkward header that flies wide from Thomasina Volson.
Just catches him by surprise on this trailing run. The deflection throws him off a little bit. Love the pressure by Dane Kelly in the middle of the field. You can start to see Colin Miller being caught out just a bit.
Kim does well. Kenny Walker was trying to play the headed through ball. Still able to find Kelly. Nice little nutmeg. Kelly still able to find it. He takes a deflection and finds the back of the net. Fortune favors the bold. Indy 11 are level on the road here at Audi Field.
You like dominoes? I do. Ball from the middle of the field coming out, takes a deflection. Then there's the challenge, comes back across. He's trying to go one-on-one here and pick out the far post coming across his body. Always going to be difficult, but not the case when Nelson Martinez helps you out just a little bit. Young center back, unfortunately, on the wrong side of this deflection that ends up in the back of his own net.
Well, that surely will be credited as an own goal. Dane Kelly's initial effort was going nowhere near the frame, but Indy 11 will take it any way that they can come. What an awkward play, and you have to feel hard done if you're Ryan Martin and Loudoun United. Still waiting on the official ruling.
Body up, body up.
Dane Kelly was offside. However, Pasher will be able to play it.
Well done, Carl.
Pasher hunting after it. Baptiste gives it away.
That's fine, guys. That's fine. Keep connected.
The official ruling right now says that the goal was given to Dane Kelly, but that will most certainly
Well done, buddy.
be under further review. And I will have a bone to pick with all things statistics if that is given as a goal for Dane Kelly. Did you see the Rasmussen goal for Louisville against Charleston a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
That was given as an own goal.
Go figure.
Well done, good.
That had more
I
of a chance
can't.
than this one did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You got to give Dane Kelly credit for all the hard work he put in, but this was nowhere near
Not
the
credit
frame.
for the goal.
This is 100% going outside of that far post, if not for Nelson Martinez.
Keep connected. Come on.
So as it stands, Dane Kelly with his 5th goal of the season. Flicks it over the top, trying to get it back. Kelly, was he taken down? Thomas Snyder says no. And with all the opportunities that Dane Kelly has missed tonight, a couple of them being point blank, gets credit for a goal that he probably shouldn't. Kelly again. Thought about taking this shot, maybe took a little bit too long. Sinclair got a touch to it, remains within the 11.
Shift, Mitch.
Now Patty Barrett curls it in. Ida Voltson onside for the moment. And Baptiste gives it away once more. Osmond going for the chip. Colin Miller lines it up. And there are 2 out in the 7th. It's baseball season, right?
We'll get there.
My Mets won't. Presley. Cal Murphy couldn't quite get a touch to it. Osmond trying to get on the right side of Loudoun. Asher attempting to cut it back. And that's probably the most controversial call we've seen from Thomas Snyder tonight. Now Sandor Bustamante is going to come on and replace Orlando Sinclair here in the 70th. And that will mean Loudoun United are out of subs for the remaining 20 minutes. Thoughts on Sinclair's performance tonight?
Started strong, but faded pretty rapidly, to be honest. And he was sitting in that 10 role just underneath Kyle Murphy. Loved the way he was able to help get these guys going forward. Unfortunately, his duties changed here in the second half and really wasn't as effective. Defensively, had to help out a bit more, and bridging that gap became that much more difficult. So an opportunity for Bustamante, another one of these youngsters, DC product coming through. During Youth International, an opportunity to continue his progression as a pro.
Pass, drop into a 3 when we lose the ball. When we lose it, drop to a 3.
He is not a happy man. Frustrated with his team's performance tonight. Much better here in the second half. They're still going to do it. Indy 11 still trying to do something they haven't done all season long. That's come back. Many a time they've been out in front, been the team that has made everybody else chase, but no comebacks completed yet. Can they do it tonight? 19 minutes to go.
Ina Voltson. Shouts for a handball from Pasher.
Very good, buddy. Shift, Mitch, shift. Well done. Go, go, Lou, go. Go, shift.
was a substitute a few moments ago as Iose came on and replaced Kim. And Kyle Murphy couldn't quite get past Mitch Osmond. Well, all is right in the world as Dane Kelly was not given credit for this goal in the end, and it is going to be an own goal against Nelson Martinez.
You can see it better. I mean, you understand why now. Dane Kelly pushing through. All three of those guys, good bounces here and there to allow Indy 11 to get the equalizer, but always going outside of that far post.
Dane Kelly on the other end. Trying to find Ina Voltson. Martinez gets a touch to it. So is that a deflection?
That's a deflection.
Get in behind shit, go!
It's a clean deflection.
What you'll get now with Kim going off, Indy Voltson will rotate into the middle a bit. Obviously, this is a fluid motion from those front three, but Pastor's going to play a higher line. Iose will go out on the left, see if he can have a little fun.
Well done, Maka. Well done, Kenny. Well done. That's fine. Keep connecting, bud. Body up, body up. Mitch, watch behind.
74th minute. 1-1 here at Audi Field. Indy 11 looking to keep their unbeaten streak alive and move it to 7. Loudoun United looking for their first home win. And to bounce back after that brutal loss against Louisville City 2-1 at Slugger Field last week. Jack Jean Baptiste had it taken away by Dane Kelly, but he got called for the foul. Douay. Cardona sees that one travel out of play. King back for Jordan Farr. Saravia. Martinez almost gave it away. Indy Voltson will continue. Kenny Walker challenging the back line of Loudoun United. It pays off. Pasher around the bend. Into space for Pasher, showing great pace. Pasher across for Kelly, and he got in his own way. He got the initial shot off with his right foot on the volley that hits his left thigh.
Keep going, buddy. Keep going. 1 second, Mitch.
Paddy Barrett in for Iose. Pasher straight at Miller. A little bit of fatigue setting in for Loudoun United.
You can see it. It's starting to walk a bit more. And that first step that we saw in the first half just starting to fade here. And the energy level from Indy 11 is out the roof. They are really pumping numbers going forward. A lot of emotion behind them here in the second half. Some good shouts from the sideline as well. Positive reinforcement from Martin Rennie and Juan Guerrera, just trying to get these guys back out in front of this young squad.
More pressure from Indy 11.
Squeeze when you can. Come on, boys. With me.
Dane Kelly. 1v1 with Saravia. It's a poor giveaway. Now it's Jean Baptiste. Going the other way. Broken up by Ouimet. Big sweeping ball. Ayoze. It's clever from Pasher. Gets away from two defenders. Pasher couldn't get it past Due. Tyler Gibson is wrapped up. And it's going to be Matt Watson coming on here in the 78th and replacing Macca King. Matt Watson, the wily veteran, replacing Macca King, who I think started to grow into the game as it moved on, especially in the early moments of the second half.
Come on, Baptiste. Good, Baptiste. Join him. Join him.
Kyle Murphy, challenge from far, and it's going to come out the other way.
It's difficult upon initial review. We'll get another look. See the overextended leg of Murphy just colliding as Jordan Farr steps out right at the top of the 18. And the referee didn't like what we were talking about earlier. Studs overextended. Jordan Farr having a few words with Kyle Murphy as well, and Murphy's saying, well, what do you want me to do? Trying to challenge the ball.
Come on, dig it out, dig it out. Shift over. He's a yard out of bounds.
Not the first time that Colin Miller rolled the dice along the back line.
Definitely an area that they're going to have to work on with him. Not just decision making, but the distribution coming out of the back. That one, obviously, Kelly gets a challenge on just earlier. A lot of movement on this near touchline, and as the ball came back to Colin Miller, took a step, looked up, and played it right back into the congested area. Needs to go the other way to open space up.
Ayoze threading the needle. Now it's Matt Watson. Watson keeps it low. Ina Voltson on the turn, blocked in front. Ayoze again. Away from Baptiste, taken down, and a set piece for Indy 11 coming up from about 25 yards out.
Jean Baptiste, one of the substitutes, the Honduran coming in with the Spaniard, just catches that left foot of his. Big long legs. Jean Baptiste trying to help close down the run of play that has been so excellent for Indy 11 here in the second half. Everything running through the middle. Nice side-to-side movement and combination up top. Still yet to find the go-ahead, though. A dangerous opportunity from this angle with Ayoze's left foot, Kenny Walker on the right. They'll wait and see where the goalkeeper sets up before they make a decision.
It'll be Ayoze.
Keep going, Matthew, keep going.
I thought that you might expect a little bit of trickery as there were a few side conversations going on before the ball was struck. Strong header from Barrett. Ina Voltson, terrific skill. Here's Kelly now, positive first touch. The Jamaican. Out of the reach of Ioze. A very frustrating night for Dane Kelly.
Up! Kelly, up!
That far side is struggling for Loudoun United as well. Connor Presley just out of gas. He cannot keep up with these constant runs of both Tyler Pasher and Ioze on that far touchline. For Dane Kelly, once again, he's frustrated with himself, hands on his head. Just poor quality in the final third all night long. Yes, they were able to get the own goal off of his movement going forward, off a couple bounces, and then of course the deflection. Nelson Martinez ends up in the back of his own net. But still, good opportunity for Indy 11. Just can't combine with the other guys going forward.
Supporters trying to do their part and spur their side on to their first home win. But Indy 11 has taken full control of this game. Update from around the Eastern Conference. Pittsburgh Riverhounds have made it 5-0 over Atlanta United 2. Goals from Robbie Mertz, Dos Santos, Nico Brett. This one lofted towards the back post, won by Indy 11 and brought down by Ioze. In addition to Thomas Van Kiezeel from Joe Greenspan. When on earth did you think you would say that this season?
The boys on the back line have a little fun, and then the own goal coming off Atlanta United 2-player Lawrence Wyke. Stephen Glass going to be frustrated that amount of goals were put in his goal in general, yet alone against the defensive-minded squad of Bob Lilly.
And the offside flag is up, and that's a bit questionable.
Shots coming from the technical area, as well as Indy Voltson up top. Looked to be squeaky clean to me when they were in behind. Referee thought otherwise.
Come on, keep the ball moving, keep connecting.
That's foul. He literally grabbed it. Watch that one again. Right at that 84th minute. Just watch that again.
Ryan Martin just having a conversation. There's the look, and that's a difficult replay to tell. The first step had already come through. But again, they did not agree, and Ryan Martin feels like his squad being a bit hard done by the referees coming down the stretch. I'm sure we'll have some different sentiments calling out of the camp. And Martin Rennie, Indy 11.
Watson up the line, Ina Voltson. Looking for first time delivery, popped right back out to him. Ina Voltson again, hoping for Dane Kelly, and it was a long ways off to try to snap that on frame.
Once again, Kelly knows he gets it wrong. He immediately turns around, gives his apologies to Ioze, who is probably the better option here. Indy Voltson had pulled this back, puts it all the way back across the field. Wonder, is there any magic left for either one of these teams? I feel like Indy has definitely been the better squad here in the second half. Loudoun ruled the first.
Heading into the path of Pasher. Trying to bend it around the back line, but that's a terrific play from Alexan Saravia. You tell me, do you think there's another goal in this?
I feel the way this is playing out that Indy is close to getting one. Really impressed with the teenagers on the back line, especially in the center back positions. Outside of the deflection on the own goal and one other mistake, they've really done quite well for themselves. Remember, Saravia only 18 years of age. Martinez, a very mature 17. To step up and challenge the likes of Dane Kelly, Indy Voltson. We saw Do-Hyun Kim, what he was able to do, Tyler Pasher, and now Ioze. Gotta give yourself some credit there, but still work to be done.
go ahead.
88th minute. Andrew Loudoun.
Hey, stay
Nelson
switched
Martinez
on.
with the
Ready
goal.
to defend the space, right?
Martinez, an own goal after the shot from Dane Kelly in the 66th minute. Martin Reppy claiming that he was right in front of it and they still gave it to Loudoun United. Pasher, great first touch out of pressure. Still going strong. Slides it through for Indy Voltson. Kelly along the back line, took a deflection. Presley trying to clear it. Now here's Ioze, still loose in front and finally cleared away by Martinez. There's Ouimet trying to squeeze out of tight quarters. It felt like it was just maybe a little bit too soon for Indy Voltson there. As Loudoun United go quickly and they might pay dearly for it. Walker goes to ground, balls for Kelly. Dane Kelly the shot, spilled in front, Passer around the keeper. And it's Tyler Passer. Indy 11 steal it in the dying moments. A night where they've struggled to score. Finally get one.
Fucking get it!
Track all the way back to the referee, not allowing the transgressions of the midfield play of Loudoun to get into the way of this. And it was the initial chance that came out, and then when Loudoun tries to restart, great job by Kenny Walker to recognize the threat. He goes the other way, gets the 50-50, and then when the ball sprays outside, just a great job by Tyler Pasher to read it so appropriately, gets around Colin Miller and finishes this off. And with just moments to spare in this game, Indy 11 may have just gotten their first comeback victory of the season.
Tyler Passer, his 5th goal on this season, but more importantly, it's his 4th league goal in 5 games. He has been red hot. And you saw the reaction from Martin Rennie in the background of that shot that we got on the last replay of the goal. A Tiger Woods-like fist pump. He knows how big of a 3 points this is against this stingy Ryan Martin group on the road as they continue to keep pace, if not gain ground, on some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. As they could find themselves in 2nd place by the end of the weekend. And now a set piece for Loudoun United after a foul from Mitch Osmond.
They got to take their time here. Closing moments of this game. This is probably going to be the best opportunity left based upon the way the second half has gone. Not a lot of movement up top because of all the things they've had to do defensively. And now you get a free kick 25 yards out. Just settle yourselves, have a conversation about what your best look is here. Bustamante feels like he's an option. Thibaut Doué in there, and Loudoun, of course, we've seen what he can do with that big left foot.
Live standings, Indy 11 on 27 points, 1 ahead of New York Red Bulls, 2, 3 off of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. But they got a little bit of work to do here. Here's the effort, and it's straight at Jordan Farr. Had a ton of pace on it.
There's a bit of trickery being employed down the stretch where Bustamante looked like he was going to be the one to have a go. Doué had stepped off, and just at the last minute, a little interchange between the two.
Passer has it poked away. Good step from Ouimet. It's towards the corner flag. Gibson racing to get there. Colin Miller will just see it out of play. Indy 11 just a few seconds away for now making it 7 unbeaten. And more importantly, it'll be 3 wins in a row. Indy Voltson for Kelly. Indy Voltson making that run. Kelly hanging on to it. Still Dane Kelly. Miller gets down to make the save, but that'll probably do it. Jacques Jean Baptiste just lofts it the other way. Gibson muscles in the opposite direction. Check of the watch from Thomas Snyder.
Drop, second ball.
Going to be an Indy 11 throw-in. Loudoun United, another heartbreaking result. Full time, Indy 11, 3 wins in a row. They steal it at the death. Tyler Pasher with the game winner, his 4th goal in 5 league games. It comes in the 89th minute. Martin Rennie's group have won 3 in a row, and as it stands, they're in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference standings. A 2-1 result against the Loudoun United side that had a 1-0 lead for most of the game until it was equalized on an own goal from Nelson Martinez in the 66th, and then Pasher in the 89th for his 5th goal this season, which leads Indy 11. We're headed to our final break of the night, the final score from Audi Field. Indy 11 2, Loudoun United 1. We'll be back in a few moments. Full time in our nation's capital, and it's the visitors who steal all 3 points at Audi Field. Terrific performance from Indy 11 on the road tonight, where they struggled in the penalty area and to get that finished product. But at the end of the day, they get a little bit of help from Nelson Martinez on the own goal to equalize, and then Tyler Pasher picks up a spilled shot by Colin Miller. We'll take a look at how it all went down here at Audi Field. Tyler Terrence along with the ex-Sherman pro Devin Kerr will help you out a little bit with full-time highlights if you're just joining us. And in the opening 15 minutes, Andrew Loudoun did this.
Very impressive. Great job by Kyle Murphy once again. That's where it came from, the hold-up play to allow Loudoun to come all the way across the field and pick this up, and then challenge, just dissects the entire middle of the field for Indy 11 that had so many troubles in the opening 45 minutes, 12th minute out in front, 1-0. And Indy 11, they would continuously push numbers forward, but couldn't really get a boatload of good looks. There were half chances here and there, balls that bounced off the post, some good saves early on by Miller, but eventually things would break open. And that's what happens when you play the law of averages for such a good offensive squad like Indy 11, you're gonna lose. When you start to sit back, up 1-0, it's gonna break you down. They end up putting 28 shots in this game, 11 of which hit the frame. Finally, one would hit the back of the net. Dane Kelly gets the first bounce, gets the second bounce. The third one ends up in the back. Unfortunately, it comes off Nelson Martinez. That got him even levels at 1.
Well, it's unfortunate for Loudoun United, unfortunate for Nelson Martinez. The goal was originally given to Dane Kelly, but you can clearly see why it's an own goal. Kelly's initial shot going nowhere near the 8x8 in the words of Devin Kerr. And then Indy 11 to really start to put the clamps down. 89th minute, spilled shot by Miller and Pasher, easy enough.
It's wrong here on the backside from Due because he has to step in. And I understand you have to be responsible for the back post run, but he's just flat-footed waiting. You, as a defender, you have to react. So when your goalkeeper spills this up, help him out. If he steps there, he can apply a bit of pressure. But how about the substitution? I love the personnel change by Martin Rennie and what he did. When he brings Edie Voltson up top in the middle, Kim comes off, Edie Voltson rotates in the middle. Pasher goes high, he gets more opportunities. Ayoze gets involved in the run. That left side was very deadly and crucial in the second half.
Tyler Pasher, 4 goals in the last 5 league appearances. As you can see, a very even game in terms of the possession as far as the shots were concerned. Indy 11 always had the edge in that statistic, even going back to halftime, but they just started to pummel Colin Miller. And while, again, they were mostly half chances, like you said, it was only a matter of time before they busted down the door.
Especially with everything that was going on in the second half. And now unbeaten in 7, 4-0-3, and they've done it in such a variety of ways. Great job tonight showing that after they beat Memphis into the ground, they could do it from behind. Nice 2-1 victory, excellent 3 points.
Well, Loudoun United dropped 2 results in heartbreaking fashion, both by a score of 2-1. Indy 11, 3 wins in a row, and as it stands right now, currently 3 points off of the Tampa Bay Rowdies, sitting in 2nd place in the East. For our entire crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, Tyler Terrence, saying so long for now from Audi Field.
United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.